Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning to my supervisor, Madam Emaliana, and my evaluator, Prof. Nana Surya. Today, I will present my final year project named XTAS. First, I will present about the introduction, my project introduction, and second, the project architecture, and third, the report, what is the programming language used, database, how much table, what tools that had been used to implement this system, and fourth, testing, the type of testing, number of testing, and the result, and lastly, the conclusion. Okay. Let's get started with the introduction. What is XTAS? XTAS is a system that manages tasks. It helps most of the grouping, not most, but all of the grouping works that need to be monitored by supervisor or HOD or CEO. So why do I develop this system? Why do we need this system? Because of the people can track all of their team members and group members' tasks. So, for example, you have three person groups and one supervisor. The supervisor wants to monitor their group tasks, and they can just open the system and see what tasks have been completed and not completed, and how do we achieve this? By the user need to create and updating their tasks. They create their tasks, do their work, and update the tasks, so everyone can see what tasks are you doing and how much tasks that you have been completed. Next is the project architecture. This project architecture is four-tier architecture. Okay. The first tier is presentation tier, the mobile application, the GUI, graphical user interface. From the GUI, at the presentation tier, the user interact. So let's say the user clicks a button, that is the presentation tier. And the second tier is the delivery tier. Delivery tier will send the data. For example, the user wants to update. Okay, let's say update. They updating the data of their phone number. Okay, and then they click update. And delivery tier, we read the data by using the URL to the API. This API is at data aggregation tier, the third tier. The URL reads the what data that the user wants to do and send it to the fourth tier, that is fundamental service tier. The fundamental service tier is the server database. For this project is I'm using XAMPP, and the database is MySQL. And the update execution that the user wants will be read and sent to the database. Next is report. Report consists of, first is what programming language used. As for the web base, I'm using PHP and Bootstrap to develop, and as for the database is MySQL. And for the mobile application, I'm using just Java, PHP as the API, and JSON for the retrieving data, and still MySQL as the database. And my database is SQL, and it consists of 9 tables. 9 tables: user table, feed table, forum table, meeting table, project table, remote table, subforum, task, and team table. The tools that I use to develop this project is, as for the web base, I'm using Sublime Text 3, and XAMPP as the web server. And for the application, I'm using Android Studio to develop, and Sublime Text 3 for the API, and XAMPP as the reservoir and database. The number of files that have been created to complete this project is 63 files, not including Bootstrap but including mobile application. Third is testing. Fourth is testing. I had done 3 testing. First is unit testing. In unit testing, I have done 2 tests to test the validation of email and phone number. The email must have completed with @ then .com and .com. If the field didn't have @ for example at gmail.com, it will fail and it will display a error message. This for example this email is not is wrong. Okay, and for the phone number, I've made a validation for 10 to 11 numbers only. No alphabet, no 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 numbers, must 10 and 11. Okay, the second is integration testing. Integration testing, I have tested the form. Integration testing, I have done it with 9 tests and 9 pass. Okay, the form needs to complete with the required field. Okay, a field that cannot be null will display an error message. Okay, for example, registration, we need email address, so email address cannot be empty. Then if the user didn't insert the email address and they click the submit button, an error pop-up will display that say email field cannot be empty. And for the system testing, I've done 10 tests for the whole system and modules. For example, the task modules need to insert task name and due date. If the user didn't insert the task name and due date, the system will show a pop-up error message that say they need to insert the task name and the due date. Okay, for system testing, I passed 10 tests and 0 fails. Lastly, for the conclusion, this system is proposed to overcome all the grouping tasks or problem. It has been done and the system can help all the grouping project, and the supervisor or HOD or CEO to manage the project perfectly. It will reduce time usage and human error and energy. And for right now, the pandemic COVID-19 corona, it will be wise to not mix with a group of people. Okay. That's all from me. Thank you. And if you have any question, feel free to ask me. I'm gladly to answer. Alright, thank you.